Teamtastic presents the TTCC. 8 robots compete over 2 weeks to see who will win this championship. Of course, the first bout is an all-external bout between Deathwish and Mac. Twirltastic faces Timmy from Timu Jimmy. Then Spintastic faces the Mad Shatterstar. The controlled lifter of Fire Hazard will then face Timmy. Of course, our first battle will be Deathwish versus Mac. Deathwish, seeded number 1, has had some minor upgrades before this tournament. Let's see who will win. So then the first battle of this tournament is about to get underway between Deathwish at the near end of the arena, and at the far end we have Mac, the overhead spinner. And Mac is going to pin Deathwish against the wall. Spins up, but no, doesn't go down for a hit. He's going to be conservative with the weapon. And that's some damage at the back. Deathwish prying off that lid almost of the battery box. But I don't think it's going to make too much damage. It can't really get back into that. It's a strong chassis on Mac. But Mac really needs to spin up now. And now it does pin Deathwish against the wall. But no, just can't land a hit on Deathwish as Deathwish spins in a circle. It's a very quick machine, Deathwish, but hard to control. And now again being pinned against the wall by Mac. Mac will now spin up. No, again, not going for a hit, Mac. It's just pinning Deathwish against the wall. Spinning up, but it's just failing to land a hit every time. And this could make Deathwish have an easy run in this one. As then we see some legs run into the arena. I think Deathwish maybe has lost its spinner. Maybe Mac hasn't landed a hit on Deathwish, but Deathwish is certainly having some spinner trouble here. Deathwish not spinning up, and now it's being pushed against the wall by Mac. Mac again choosing not to land any hits, because we know that Mac has a tendency to explode, and that's just a Mac thing to do. But now it is going to spin up, and it is going to land a hit. That is right on the exposed buggy motor of Deathwish, and again. And for Deathwish now, this could be painful as he spins up again to Mac. I think Mac actually got a damaged arm there, but I think, yes, on Deathwish, that is the buggy motor hanging outside of the chassis. I think it's got stuck on the wheel. Spinning round in circles is Deathwish. And I think that's the end of its campaign here. Spinning up again, Mac. But Mac's weapon arm is certainly very broken there. Don't think they're going to be landing too much damage. But they've done all that they need to do. I think that is a win for Mac. Certainly not over yet. But judging by the immovability of that buggy motor from their wheel, Deathwish doesn't really have any drive anymore. And with no weapon, I think it's going to struggle anyway. Spins round in a circle. Even if this one goes to a judge's decision, I think it would definitely go Mac's way. As now both robots spinning in circles with limp weapons. Well, in Deathwish's case, it doesn't really have a weapon anymore. I don't think either of them are going to take any more substantial damage. But certainly I think it's going to go Mac's way. If it does go to a judge's decision, but I can't see either of the robots stopping. But I think it is starting the countdown now. No, as it's pushed into the corner is Deathwish. Deathwish certainly only struggling. So the highlights of this battle drive, but CC is called. Is this hit here, taking off that battery plate. That was the only real thing Deathwish did. Then down here, pushing against the wall, Mac had many of these good pins, but it never really managed to land a good hit early on. And then here it managed to push Deathwish back and get a very good hit on the motor, on the buggy motor. Was really just dominating this part of the fight. There we did see the weapon arm break, but it just didn't affect it, did it? And I reckon this robot, it has a chance to go all the way, but they need to sort out that weapon arm issue. And from there on, Deathwish couldn't really control it, but there you go. Mac wins that round. So then, Mac wins to guarantee a place in the semi-finals. Let's see who will win our next battle between Twirltastic and Jimmy. So then, our second battle gets underway between Twirltastic and Jimmy. And I don't think we'll have first hit. Nothing really happening. It is Jimmy pushing Twirltastic into the wall. We know Twirltastic has drive problems. We're not really expecting it to get too far in this tournament just because of that drive. We know the weapon can be potent, but Jimmy is a very low robot. I reckon if Twirltastic gets this right, if Jimmy gets this right, he could win this one, could Jimmy? And Twirltastic needs to get Jimmy onto its forks and then push it up into the spinner. But hitting the wall will not help Twirltastic here. But it's certainly trying to cause damage to Jimmy, but Jimmy is all over it. Jimmy pushing it into the wall. It needs to cause some damage to Twirltastic. But Jimmy's struggling to drive now. Is Jimmy. Twirltastic, that spinner is very fast. Jimmy does not want to get near it, but again, I think it's too low. Jimmy is spinning in circles, and Jimmy's struggling with the drive. Spinning in circles, and at least Twirltastic can move back and forwards, and maybe side to side if it's lucky, but Jimmy is spinning in circles. I'm surprised the countdown hasn't started, but Jimmy is certainly struggling here. And is this Jimmy out of this competition? Twirltastic, though, is also struggling to move backwards and forwards, and is only seeming to be moving in circles. These two robots can only move in circles by the scenes of it. And now Twirltastic isn't moving at all. There we go. Twirltastic finally moving. This is not a very exciting one here. Not a lot has happened. And still nothing's happening. Twirltastic needs to get a hit on Jimmy, but it just can't. Cannot hit Jimmy at all. And Jimmy he can't really move. Wow, these two robots in this tournament, I don't think either of them can go that far if they continue pulling off performances like this. Because neither of them are doing that much. That Twirltastic spinner, it just isn't, it's too high to hit Jimmy. And Jimmy can't really move. But Jimmy, I thought Jimmy got his almost like his hand stuck inside Twirltastic. Inside, and that was on the wheel there and almost stopping Twirltastic from moving. Maybe that's the tactic for Jimmy. But Jimmy hasn't really showed good movability around the arena. And Twirltastic now pins Jimmy against the arena wall, but Jimmy pushes Twirltastic back. Twirltastic, that spinner still spins, almost doesn't need to, does it? Just in case it can get Jimmy on its forks, but Jimmy is only moving on that left-hand side of drive. The right-hand side does not seem to be working as cease is called. Well, who will win that one then? I don't think there's any highlights for you to show, but I think it's going to be Twirltastic. Now, the judges are deciding, and it does go the way of Twirltastic, who will continue its run in this tournament. So then, Twirltastic wins and will go through to face Mac in the semi-finals. But now, our third battle is Spintastic versus Shatterstars. So here we go. Shatterstar v Spintastic. Who will win this one? I get a feeling it'll be Spintastic, but there we go. Spintastic now pushing Shatterstar back. And Shatterstar's bouncing and thwacking. And it's not really doing anything so far. But now it's pinning in. Now I think it's lost an axe or an arm or whatever you want to call it. It's certainly lost it. Spintastic isn't really moving though, and now it's lost both of them. And I think that is one of the shortest fights we'll see today. Because I think Spintastic wins. The countdown starts. And Shatterstar is not going anywhere. And that will be the end of its campaign. Spintastic wins. So then. Spins in circles. It's just, I don't really know what's happening here. It can't move. Anyway. The highlights of this battle then. Let's see what we've got here. So this was probably one of the most important things. Hits the arm, and the arm gets hit the back of the spinner. I don't know what it did, but I think it might have just severed it. Yeah, there you go. And it just kind of lays on the floor next to it. So then the second arm, I think it just kind of knocked itself off. It's pretty sad. But there you go. Spintastic wins. So Spintastic wins by KO to get through to the semi-finals. And now we're going to find out who they'll face in the final battle between Fire Hazard and Timmy. So, Timmy versus Fire Hazard. Two robots which weapons don't really do that much. So here we go then. Timmy, being the aggressor at the start, certainly pushing Fire Hazard into every wall it can find and crashing into the wall itself. Now, there was some dispute over how legal the tail was with the grappling hook. The judges decided it was okay for this tournament, maybe not the second ones. But it has now lost that tail. So that's pretty pointless then, as now it drives into the wall once again. So far, these two robots haven't really had that much altercation. But now Fire Hazard getting Timmy on his forks, pushing him into the corner, lifting him up. But no, cannot fully flip him. Timmy now again lifted up, and it's just being pinned in the corner, and now it is being dragged away. Timmy is four-wheel drive, can't forget that. And Timmy will use his four-wheel drive to drive into the wall and escape down to the other end of the arena. Quite fast is Timmy. He's got a lot of torque, but again, that's a good lift from Fire Hazard. Can't hold them up for too long, can Fire Hazard? Because else it will call for an unstick. It's still lifting them up though. And it keeps them up in the air for quite a while now. Surprised the judges haven't called anything there. Timmy into the wall and has lost an eye. That will not help Timmy. Just kidding. Timmy is being driven by an actual person. Timmy does not drive himself. Sorry if I've just ruined your life, but it's true. Now Timmy will be run. Sorry, I thought it was going to get pushed by Fire Hazard there, but no, Timmy runs down to the other end of the arena. Fire Hazard goes in for another lift, but Fire Hazard's lifter, it's pretty weak to be honest. It cannot flip any of Timmy. It cannot flip Timmy. And Timmy only weighs about half of the maximal weight limit. And that could be a problem later on for Fire Hazard in this tournament if it does get through this battle. And if it does, I don't know if it can lift. I think it will just mainly be a push-a-bot. Because the three robots that have currently made it through are much heavier than Timmy. And Timmy has just put Fire Hazard on top of it. And that is one of the greatest things Timmy has ever done. Oh my goodness. Timmy, the absolute GOAT, has just done a thing. And now he gets pushed into a wall. Goddamn. Come on, Timmy. Come on, Timmy. Come on, Timmy. Oh, Timmy's driven into a wall. Right, my biased aside, Fire Hazard now goes for another lift. By the way, they've just kind of destroyed the arena. I blame Fire Hazard for that one, not Timmy. Timmy can never, ever do anything wrong because he's just Timmy. Fire Hazard now going in for another lift, but no, failing. What is the driver of Fire Hazard doing here? He's gone for so many lifts and just can't get them done. So now it will be Timmy pushing them back. Cease will be called any minute now, and now Cease is called. So then the highlights of this battle then. Let's look. So that was a good lift from Fire Hazard. He does that quite a few times in this battle. And we see Timmy get underneath Fire Hazard. I mean, for me, that gives Timmy the win, and it's another good lift. Fire Hazard did that lift a lot, but apparently Fire Hazard... So, what have been some great battles? Sees Fire Hazard go through to Space Spintastic. And on the other side will be Mac versus Tweltastic. You'll see them next time. I've been Teamtastic. Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in next week.